All right. All right. Welcome to the real deal. Dot, dot, dot. So, this is the real deal on. And what is this the real deal on? The real deal on what makes us tick. And we have a very special guest to chat with to learn what makes him take those actions and overcome obstacles and challenge himself to greatness. Chris and I have known each other for many moons now. We have worked together on projects and we continue to work together. And he is a stand-up guy, but I don't want to steal his thunder. I would like you, Chris Abazis, to share who you are, what you do, how did you get here, and what do you do when the going gets tough?
What an intro, man. I love the effects on that. You can tell you're a musician, right?
Yeah. The guitars also help, right?
See, I know, right? So what I do, I do so many things. It's like, what don't I do? I would say I do everything that has to do with talking. And I think I mean I was a salesperson, then I got into leadership, then I kind of got out of that and just focus on speaking and coaching and helping people thrive, which is, I guess, a form of leadership still, just without being under one roof. I think we have a similar story like that. But yeah, that's pretty much what I do. I'm a
Well,
partner
share
in a
how you
video
get you
production company.
going from sales to speaking, which I mean, ultimately sales is speaking and
Yeah.
communicating, but there is a different look when someone speaks for a living versus sells. I mean, now all speaking is sales, of course, but there's obviously a career shift, a reinvention of sorts. So what was that like for you? Like what inspired that? Because people now, like it used to be you had one career for your life, maybe two. Now it's like three, four, five different careers over a course of a lifetime.
Yeah, so I was in bands growing up. I was a musician in punk rock bands and never fancied myself a salesperson. Here I was, got put on academic probation in college because if I didn't like a class, I didn't go to it, which that's kind of my rebel mentality. And I'm like, I don't like this. I'm not going to go, which means that you don't get great grades, which means they take away your financial aid. So I got into real estate sales, and I said I'll do this until I figure out what I want to be when I grow up. And also, I was working for an entertainment company. I was a DJ and an MC. I guess that was my first crack at kind of speaking in public was emceeing events.
Hmm.
And in real estate, after a few years into it, I changed offices, and my managers in my second office, I guess when I was in my mid-20s, started to ask if I'd be interested in teaching new agents and coaching new agents and helping them because I was kind of the rookie of the year. And I'm like, what do you mean? You want me to teach people? Are you crazy? Who are you asking to do this? And this just kept showing up in my life. And then my third real estate company, I was asked if I'd be interested in coaching a group of agents again there, and which turned into me being asked if I would like to be the CEO of a new office they were launching. And I was 29, and I did that. And all of a sudden now I had to deal with the board of directors of a company, and I had to do meetings for agents, and I had to do training, and I just kept getting sharper and people kept asking me to do it. And I got very good at that. I recruited, coached, and trained over 1,000 real estate agents in my time there. And I started to be asked to speak around the country, and just keep showing up and doing stuff. And my coach at the time, I said, man, I really enjoy doing this. I really like help developing people. And my coach asked me a question. He said, Chris, what are you saying? What are you saying yes to that's causing you to say no to doing shit you really want to do? And I said, it made me realize, it made me take an inventory of my life. And, I was in my mid 30s, and I realized that it was really the day-to-day operations of an office, which I loved half of it and I didn't love the other half of it. So I had a mic drop moment, started Dream Key Consulting in 2000, I guess, 16. And then I was still doing that at a time, and I kind of phased out of that and just went speaking I went speaking, and then people started coming to me from speaking engagements saying, "I want more of that. Where can I connect? Where can I get connected with you?" And my coach again was like, "I know you're resisting it. You really got to get into coaching because people want to be able to stay plugged in. You can help people." So I started creating programs around what I was speaking about, and that's, I mean, that kind of the rest is history. And then I started a video production company with my buddy, which ironically enough, ended up being a lot of speaking too, because I was doing the front of the camera work and interviewing, things like this. And it was just everything kept kind of blossoming off that. And all these years later, here I am, just being very careful what to say yes to.
So yeah, and when that comes up for you, how do you evaluate it? Do you have a filter that you run that through? Do you have a particular set of questions that you're asking in relation to the opportunity?
Yeah, I actually have six filtering questions. I just wrote them down for somebody, so that's funny. So the first thing I ask is this opportunity, person, expense, adventure, experience, relationship, commitment, etc., aligned with my values, right? So that's the first question. If the answer is no, then there's no need to proceed to the other questions, right? So the next question is, will this opportunity take advantage of my unique ability and make me even stronger? Will it lengthen my stride? Because sometimes and I've had this habit because I want to be able to help everybody. Saying yes to, like, my buddy was like, "Hey, can you help me build a website?" And I said, "I can do it, but I'm not good at it." So just knowing what you're good at. And then the third thing is, how will this opportunity benefit mankind? That's a big one on a greater scale. Is there a bigger cause or purpose that will benefit society? And so, like, now I'm working on writing this book. It's actually finished. I just have to get it launched and published. Spontaneous AF. You can fill in those words AF, and that's me kind of stepping out of the business world exclusively and just saying, how can I share some of these principles with a greater group of people, right?
Hmm.
The fourth question is, does this make sense financially? And do we say yes, Doug, to speaking engagements that we're not going to get paid for? Sometimes we do. And sometimes you get the free lunch crowd that people are just there for something for free, and it's doesn't make sense for you financially, right? And then the other question is this transactional or transformational? So in other words, is this a standalone opportunity or a gateway opportunity? Is it something that's just going to be, a one-stop thing, one and done, or is it going to be a long-term gateway opportunity for something else? And the sixth question is, if I say yes to this opportunity, what then must I say no to? So those are
Mm.
kind of like my six filtering questions. And I go through different versions of those things, and that's how I make those decisions on what to say yes to.
Now, for those six, do they all have to answer in the affirmative, or like, will you, if one of the criteria isn't met, is it an automatic no, or do you then, sort of just evaluate from that position, knowing going into it that there may be a compromise?
Well, it's not. It's some of them are. I mean, the values one, yeah, of course. But so sometimes I'll be flexible on certain things depending on who the person is. Like, sometimes you just want to work with somebody you really like. For example, my girlfriend's daughter asked if I would go into her school's career day. Um,
Yep. No,
so I
I
mean,
do
is
that
this
too. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, right. I mean, that's kind of a cool thing, and that might be
Yeah.
something if someone else asked me to do that, to a different group of people that, maybe it was somebody I wasn't fond of or didn't like the vibe around it, I might say no to it. But something like that, this is going to have an effect on the kids. I think it's a transformational thing for them. But I am a little bit flexible with these things depending on how busy my schedule is. The busier you get, the less time you have on your schedule, the more things you have to say no. And sometimes it's what good opportunities do I have to say no to? It's not there comes a point where I've got three great things to choose from. What do I say yes to? And I know you've been there,
Yeah.
like
Call that a quality problem.
that's why I give people, listen, if you take an open date from me within the next 30 days, I'll give you a deal. But if you're trying to book me a year out, you're paying full price. If you want me to hold the date, you're paying full price because things come up.
Right. Oh yeah, I mean, I get calls all the time. I got one today. Like, hey, what are you doing tomorrow morning? Can you, we have a thing at 7:30 in the morning. Like, yeah, okay, I'll help you out. Like,
Sure. Yeah, I'm with you, man. That's it.
and those happen, and that the flexibility is really powerful. And I've also caught myself. I don't know if you have as well. To your point earlier about the lost opportunities, is that careful saying yes,
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
we want to say yes to everything. And next thing you know, you're like, wait, what? I just triple booked myself.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've learned to run my life with, systems, tools, and people. So I really, Careful about the space I have in my calendar, and I've gotten better with managing what I do and when. Also, time management is also energy management. It's like,
Hmm.
you know, you have some things you have to do that are going to suck the energy out of you, and you've got some people and things you have to do that are just going to invigorate you and give you energy. And I'm careful to kind of space that out on my calendar the right way. If you have lunch with someone that's a Debbie Downer, it's going to ruin the rest of your day. I mean, I absorb all that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like an empath. So I don't want to, if I've got some momentum, look, I know because people say we all have to eat. I'm like, I know, but I know what this meal is going to be, and I've got important stuff to do afterwards. I don't want to suck the energy out of take the wind out of my sails.
So how this great thing no one really talks about that much because we all do have situations like that where we have just being people and having a heart. Yes, we can not only get taken advantage of, but also sometimes people ask for things that at some point we don't want to necessarily say yes to. How do
Yeah.
you deal with that? Because I'm sure that happens quite often. What do you lean into in that space when it's something that you are knowing that this is not going to be beneficial?
I use questions as a tool for everything. So it always depends on the context, and I'm usually pretty skillful at being able to ask people questions that will help them self-decide that it's a bad idea. They still kind of self-discover, and it depends on the context of what they're asking, of what we need to do. It's like if someone asks you to move, or or take them to the airport. These are things that pop up in our personal lives that sometimes you don't have the time to do it, or sometimes it's not the best idea. And can we can we help someone self-discover that you're not the right person for that job?
Right on. Yeah. That's well, let me ask you something. When you're doing that, are you flipping it and having them put themselves in your shoes, and or what is it that is the secret sauce, as it were, to getting them to have their epiphany?
Yeah, it's a dance. It's a back and forth dance, but it's not necessarily putting them in their shoes, but just helping them consider a better option, right?
Mhm.
So, uh, like when people ask for a ride somewhere, it's like I take Uber everywhere. It's so easy to get cards now. So it's almost like um, I always one of the things I try to do is like some people try to schedule an appointment with you to do something. It's I automatically try to offer an option so that the space that I wanted on my schedule, which is quite often not good for them. It doesn't work for them, and it
Mm.
leads to like a never mind. Here's an example of something. My phone never rings, and when I was a salesperson, it rang all the time. So I always had I protect my calendar. I have an autoresponder on my phone if I can't talk, which is most of the time. I hit the autoresponder and it says schedule a call, right? Sometimes this is a got a minute, or I have a problem, or somebody reacting to something. So more often than not, later on, I'll text that person, "Hey, I never saw you schedule a call come in," and they say, "Never mind, I figured it out. I sorted it out."
Right.
And that's when I had an office of 260 real estate agents. I mean, it's like herding cats,
Hmm.
So I had a staff of
Especially
about
agents.
Oh man, it's so I had a sign on my door that said, "Lack of planning on your part is not an emergency on my part." And they
Mm.
knew right outside my door was my secretary. She can make an appointment for them, or people I would literally get off I'd be on the phone doing things and I'd be going to the bathroom and they're like, "Got a minute?" I used to call those the got a minute questions.
Hmm.
And the only available time you had for the got a minute was walking me to the bathroom. Tell me what you got. Walk me to the bathroom. If you're a guy, come on in the bathroom with me. Tell me, otherwise you're gonna have to wait outside the bathroom and I'm gonna come out and you can finish what you're telling me. And that's it. That's the only minute I have. But you can always schedule 15 minutes with me. And I've just kept that habit now. Now I don't have all these people to lead. I've got, being a coach and a speaker, we could say no to a lot more people. We have that strategy session, and sometimes in that 30-minute strategy session, it's me helping them self-discover that they're not yet coachable, or that maybe perhaps I'm not the right person for them right now in their journey. We talked about that the other day. I think it's just kind of being able to say, it's not that they're not good people. It's just that it's not the right time for us to engage.
Yeah.
work together. And that's
And
just
that's the
all
biggest gift
small
you could give
things.
somebody. And I think that ultimately people respect that, although it also sometimes can come across as the takeaway
Hmm.
sales
Hmm.
strategy, but it really isn't. If it's like, look, I don't think this is gonna, this is the best fit. And we all have situations where that's happened. I had a situation once where I got too deep in a relationship, business relationship, too quick, and then realize like, oh, okay, this is going to be more time. This is going to be more like this isn't what was originally discussed. And then you have to I had to extricate and say, look, this seemed at the time when we talked about it, it seemed like this was going to work, but I already see that this is not
Yeah.
impacting me in the way that's going to be most beneficial, and I just don't have the bandwidth. This won't work.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like, how do you approach situations like that? Because you do a lot of other joint ventures and
Yeah.
so forth. Have you found yourself in similar situations where you've gotten in bed too deep and then gone, "Ooh, I may
Yeah.
need to reevaluate."
Good question. So when I left my office, I kind of recruited my replacement, so to speak, and I took him from another office. It was a growth opportunity for him, and the office that I took him from said, "Hey, can we hire you as a consultant to help find a replacement?" It ended up me doing the job for a year. So I was just back doing the same thing again, and I had to pump the brakes and say, "Whoa, what happened here?" And working with leadership teams, working with business owners, so often I'll help you. Look, I'll help you recruit. I'll help you recruit, train, and retain your leadership. I want to make myself as useless as quick as possible. I don't want to continue to be like prompted to do it because they'll ask you to do it. Hey, what's it going to take to have you do this role? So help us find someone. Help us. Well, will it take if you do it? And you have to be real careful to say no. There was another time somebody wanted me to run their sales team around the country, and they had no um, which is fine, but they needed systems and tools in place, which I'll help them do, but they kept changing things. Like they changed their CRM 3 times in a month, and just kind of brings the news to their team. And I kept saying, this isn't the right way to do things. And they were just kind of doing it anyway. And I said, this isn't going to work for me. But now recently, a buddy of mine that used to negotiate short sales, he reached out again. He's like, and he had a multi-million-dollar business. He's like, hey, I want to start doing this again. I'll only do it if you partner with me. And I say, I got a lot on my plate. It depends what that partnership looks like. And he's like, you won't have to do anything except promote it to realtors. He's like, so make classes about it, go out and train people, send them over, and we'll take care of everything else. That's a good opportunity for someone like you or me because
Hmm.
we're already on stage. It's already the audience. So it's right in our wheelhouse of doing what we're going to do. So it's that kind of thing is something that as long as all the other things are in alignment, the values, and
Right.
if they're going to do things the same way, it's difficult to work with people that are not open to suggestion or non-coachable people. And, we have to be coachable as well in what we're doing. So
Oh, for sure. From that perspective, sounds like you have had a coach before and still do, presumably or potentially. How important was that in part of your journey? Is having that mentor, that coach, that advisor of sorts, the person to help guide you and navigate these decisions?
I always say, who's your who? And at any given time, that could be someone different. And like we have different boxes in our lives, like you
Hmm.
mentioned, personal, spiritual, emotional, business wise. And at different times, we're going to have different who's in those boxes. And a who's your who can be in a form of a coach or a mentor or a training or a course that you take. And sometimes it's one and done, something that you need for a minute. And sometimes it's somebody that's going to stay with you along your journey that grows with you. And sometimes it comes in the form of colleagues or even students. I mean, I learned so much now from the people I work with around the country that bring things to me and have you heard of this or have you tried this? And it's super valuable. I think that who component is, always asking the question of who can help me with this? Who's where I want to be? Who's really super knowledgeable in this area that I'm not? And it's just constant. I'm an education junkie, so I'm
Yeah.
always looking for that stuff.
Well, forget the author, but that book, Who Not How.
Oh, who not how?
Who Not How. It's understanding that value. And from that perspective, do you have a similar set of filters when choosing a who?
That's totally a vibe thing. I mean, that's just coming from conversational, and
Hmm.
it's the same type of thing. It's the most important thing for me is that uh, people people are real. There's kind of, I would say there's two criteria for people to be in my life on a social level, and that's number one, being authentic or real, and I don't care what that is.
Hmm.
And the second thing is being unoffendable. So if I can then be myself without offending you, and you can be yourself without offending me, that's cool. So that's basic criteria. Then with business and stuff, it's do I like what they're about? Do I like their underlying values? So it's kind of I don't know if you ever read like The Go-Giver.
Hmm. Oh yeah, Bob Berg. He's been on
Yeah,
the
yeah,
on the
Bob
show
Burg.
before. He's down here. He's a pud.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, Bob Berg, he's good. And so that Go-Giver, those five laws of stratospheric success, they're a little bit different than like some people. It's like if like I don't like to work with people that are just economically driven. I don't like to work with people that are just do what you can to make the sale. And it's if someone, not everybody's a great candidate to work with and things like that. So I want to work with people that really want to make a difference, that really want to that are passionate about what they do and are not forcing anything. And that's kind of what I look like. Just overall good people, nice people, good sense of humor is usually important to me. So
Yeah. Well, and as an entrepreneur, we're so flexible in also our business approaches and dealings that we'll do, whether it's real estate, speaking, affiliate marketing, consulting, like there's so coaching, there's so many ways to help people. And I think to your point, that vibe, it's man, it's like when you're going into business with someone, it's like you're getting married.
yeah.
It's,
Well, I have an expression with all my clients. I say, well, date before you get married. Would you get married before you dated? That's not a good idea, right? So
yep.
let's have that approach.
Yeah, so it's vital. So we're gonna have you back. I do have a hard stop here, but if there were a question that you or advice that you would give yourself, knowing what you know now, and it is a very trite, old school question, but the old, knowing what you know now, what advice or what words of wisdom, what guidance would you give your younger self, say, coming out of college and starting your approach in life? What advice would you give yourself?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think that if I would have learned that leveraging question earlier in my life, what system, tool, or person do I not have that if I did have, I wouldn't have to do this thing that I don't want to do? And it's just kind of also going back and I didn't realizing what you really want, asking the question, is this really what I want? If everyone in my life would be proud of me and support me in whatever I did, would I follow the same path? Why didn't we pursue music if we wanted to do that, or art, or do whatever we're passionate about? And I would say chase the dream and enjoy it, and try to resist the urge for security and to go to the college that mommy and daddy want you to go to. And the rest of your grandpa said that this would be a great company to work for because you have benefits and all that kind of stuff. Don't be someone that ends up in your 30s or 40s and looking around saying, what the hell am I doing with myself? Why am I doing this? And that's kind of, I think, where that midlife crisis comes from. So I'm 44 now. And I mean, I went through this at a really young age in my 20s, not figuring out what do I want to be when I grow up. And it happened for me by accident. And I think if I would have had the knowledge I had now and been on purpose about it, it would have things would have been a little different for me. But I'm happy I figured it out up to this point.
Yeah, I love that. And one of the things that I gleaned from that as well, and I agree, I've noticed that some of the younger generation, it's swinging the other way, where
Yeah.
they're not even wanting to work and all of that because they want to pursue their dreams and all of that, and we still have to live. So it's finding
Yeah.
that balance. How can we ultimately, and it sounds terrible sometimes, is how can we monetize our passion?
Yep.
So if we can find a way to add value, to enjoy, and also get reciprocal value, that's the ultimate win. And I think what's helpful for guys like us is to go out there and model that and show
Mm.
people, okay, look, there's the fun of it, there's the freedom of it, there's all of that. And there's always going to be some sort of monetary thing. And like when we do those things, I end up usually being a money monk and someone's like, I'm not driven by the finances, by the money. It's great and that's fantastic, and I happily receive it, but that's not where I'm making my decision. And to your point, if it's someone who's completely money driven, it's not aligned with my values. So then, it's like, okay, cool. Like then we either go into it knowing, okay, this is what it is. I'm going to help you out, and that'll be one and done here. Or if it's someone who it's okay, cool. We share similar things, and
Exactly.
now we have a gift to work with people we love, because
Yeah.
really what we're doing is we're creating a second family.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I have clients. I have clients that like they complain about their clients. They're like, oh, I hate all my clients. They said, what is it about you that's attracting people that you don't like? There must be something inauthentic about your message or what you're putting out there. And sometimes you got to give them homework to say no to people. And
Hmm.
yeah, these newer generation, I mean, that millennial generation, they're creating all these tech companies. Accessibility is kind of is the new currency, right?
Yep.
It's, you look at companies like Airbnb or Uber or even Google, they create no content. They just provide a better mousetrap, better accessibility, and they're crushing it, right? So
Yeah.
it's, I
All
mean,
arbitrage.
we can get groceries delivered to our house
Yep.
by from our phone, and it's like these are millennial developers. And a lot of millennials, people, younger generations now, even younger generation Z, they're choosing to work at a company where they make less money because the company's got a ping pong table and you can
Right.
play video games there. And it's like more culture, So they're not driven to, I call it the curious class instead of like the upper class. Now they're like more motivated by, travel. I'm going to travel and stay at a hostel and go to cooler places rather than stay at the Ritz-Carlton. And I think we're seeing a lot of that movement in the younger generation, which the generation ahead of us kind of looks at them and calls them lazy, right? So it's just this. It's always
Well, here, I'll leave on this note. People aren't inherently lazy. They're extraordinarily motivated to do as little as possible to achieve a desired result.
I love that.
I mean, it's how we're wired. We are shortcut. I mean, that's what technology is. Everything this country, this world, in many respects, not everything, but a good portion of it, has been designed to theoretically make life easier,
Yeah.
quicker, more time, more freedom, more money, which equals time, which equals freedom, etc. But really, technology is built upon shortcutting
It's leverage.
something. Yeah.
It is leverage. Man, if to do what we do now without technology, we'd have to work a lot longer, a lot harder. And it's
Yeah.
look, it's freeing. That's why I say I'm saying I'm a leverage coach. Three L's: language, leadership, and leverage, right? And that'll give you everything that you want.
Love it. Well, people want to get in touch with you. How do they do that? Do you have something that people could learn more, get more, experience more with you?
I mean, so I have a like a link tree here. It's just chrisabazis.com and or which and my websites are there, my social media. There's just different, it's kind of just a one page that has all the links, or you can Google me, but I'll be happy to talk to anybody. And we've got some stuff coming up together too that we'll be able to get
Hmm.
out there at a high level, and that'll be good. But yeah, just hopefully we can see what kind of magic people are producing in the world.
Amen. And support the rock.
That's right.
Awesome, brother. Well, I appreciate you for who you are and who you aren't. You'll be back, I'm sure. Sorry, usually we go a little bit longer on this, but this was just right, wasn't it?
Yeah, perfect.
Awesome, brother. All right, talk to you in a bit.
Take care.
Bye.